Hi all, welcome back to the Man Cave of an Acting Teacher. It's a bit of a dull day again. I apologise for the light of it's a bit too dark for you, and it's going to probably start pouring with rain actually at the moment too. So the Man Cave has an aluminium roof. If there's a big noise, you'll know what it is. Thank you for your responses about yesterday's video, which was to do with motivation, finding your motivation in these times and in all times, and refinding it if you lose it, and why you might have lost your motivation. I didn't realize it would be such a popular one. Probably got more of a response from that one than any others that I've done in the series, right? So that's great. I'm glad it was of some use to you and helpful. I may do 2 videos today because I had a couple of students this afternoon, both of whom have postponed to the weekend. I have to find some monologues for some new actors starting with me on the weekend as well, so I have a bit of work to do, but I'll have the time. I want to do one about directing, but this one came up, and I think it might be a little more imperative just to mention it first. It was in response to yesterday's conversation, right, about motivation. But this comes up all the time. It comes up in class, okay? And there seems to be a bit of a misconception, particularly amongst new actors or actors coming to train for the first time, that those actors who get very immersed in their work are in danger of killing themselves. Okay, are in danger of causing mental health issues unto themselves. Now, yes, it's true that creative people do commit suicide. Actors do, Robin Williams, etc., you know, and also rock stars, and Kurt Cobain and Michael Hutchence, and also writers, Sylvia Plath and Sarah Kane, yeah? So it's not as if it's specific to one particular field of creative arts. However, the reason why you probably know about these suicides is because they are famous people. They're renowned. They have a degree of fame. There is probably, as far as I can see from statistics anyway, just as many suicides in other employment, in other walks of life, in other sectors as there is in the arts. It's just, it appears to be more, yeah? And it's easy for us to then turn around and say, okay, these people who are committing suicide are doing so because they're so intensely creative and their light is blazing and then blazing so brightly like a star and then burning out early, yeah? And I really don't think that's the case, to be honest, okay? So, I will specifically back that up, right? Okay, first of all, a lot of the ones that people seem to say to me, oh, you know, what about Heath Ledger, who killed himself, you know, and because of the Joker? No, okay, that's not true. That's something that was you know, thrown out there by media outlets who like the sensationalism of these things. Okay, you know, Heath was a young man. He was a big star. He was an improving actor. You know, he was very good in his last couple of films, obviously, right? And he had a big future ahead of him, and we miss him, you know, dearly, right? And, you know, I don't want to talk about anybody's personal stuff here, right? But Heath Ledger had personal issues going on, number one. And number two, as far as anyone has been able to show me, the man died of a drug overdose. He was drinking and taking drugs and stuff anyway. It wasn't actually a suicide as such anyway. And there's a lovely documentary about him that was released not too long ago, which seems to be pretty much believable. A lot of his very close friends talk on it about him and his creativity. And his creativity didn't kill him. The Joker didn't kill him, okay? Trying to be the Joker or playing the part of the Joker did not kill Heath Ledger. You know, he was a wonderfully creative guy, but his creativity didn't kill him. He had personal issues to do with family and other stuff, okay? And that's the stuff that got him. Think about others who actually literally did kill themselves, like you know, Robin Williams. Robin Williams had another underlying health issue that was terrifying him, okay? Just look back at the facts of these things. I mean, Kurt Cobain killed himself, you know, yes, but, you know, Kurt had major issues with health as well. And the lead singer of Joy Division, it wasn't his wonderful music that killed him, it was epilepsy. He was an epileptic, and that's what eventually got him in the end. So here's my point. You know, I could talk about many different stars that you may think killed themselves because they were creative, but no, their creativity was their joy. You know, I'm sure of that. I think I can speak for them fairly confidently when I say that their creativity was the joy of their life. It wasn't the thing that killed them at all. You know, Michael Hutchence. You know, some of these things are very well documented. Major problems with, you know, family and having kids taken off him. You know, and all of these awful personal issues that many people in many different sectors, in many different walks of life, have to deal with all the time. And they're the things that cause mental illness. They're the things that get us down. So when you're thinking about, okay, here's what I want to get to. When you're thinking about, you know, your art, if your art is making you think about killing yourself, you know, there's a problem there. And really, I doubt that that's what it is. If you think hard about it, it's probably the possibility that, you know, you're unable to make a living from your art. Perhaps you haven't, you know, you're unable to get work. So your worry isn't the art. Your worry is money. Your worry is employment. Okay, that's maybe what's driving you to a point of depression or anxiety, of course. But that's society, and that's capitalism, you know. That's economics. That's not your art. Your art is something that you can practice, as I said in many of these videos, at home, you know, with a monologue, with a friend, running scenes, and loving acting. The attachment that we then place on it, that, you know, it is valueless if you're not making money from it. That's something that's, again, like I said in yesterday's video, that's an external force that's being imposed upon you and imposed upon your art, right? But it's not the art. The art's not causing you to be depressed, okay? It's maybe not being able to make money from it, or a lack of recognition, possibly. You may be craving recognition, craving attention, and I don't mean that in a childish sense. I mean, you know, you're not getting the acknowledgement of your talent that you think you deserve, okay? And that's understandable too, of course, you know. But it's usually not to do with your art. You know, again, just going back to the Heath Ledger example with the Joker, okay? The Joker was a difficult part to play, but the Joker was so much fun. He's a cartoon character, right? And yes, he has a darkness in him, yeah? But that isn't going to, as an actor, wreck your head, because it's always a game. Now, that game is a game that we play in a very sophisticated way, where we really throw ourselves into it. That's true. That's that immersive place that we go to, where we learn what it is to look out of the eyes of someone who is insane, someone who's psychotic. But that doesn't cause us to be insane or us to be psychotic, yeah? It causes us to be able to see through that lens in order to play that role, okay? If I can use an example from my own experience, I don't want to be self-indulgent in any way, so I try not to do this, but it is probably relevant for this one. I mentioned the writer Sarah Kane, who is possibly my favorite playwright ever, in fact, and she killed herself when she was 25. She wrote 5 plays and then committed suicide. Again, not because of her plays, right? Her plays were in fact an incredible outlet for her torture, and she was tortured by the world around her, by war, by human cruelty, and things like this, and that's what got on top of her. But if you read her plays are about those topics, right? So one might then think, well, you know, it's the plays that killed her. But no, it's not. The plays were actually probably that kept her alive longer than she otherwise would have been. She was just unable to break that terrible state of not being able to resolve in herself where to put the cruelty of humankind, yeah, in her mind. She wrote a play called Blasted, and I played the role of the soldier in that many years ago now. And the soldier in Sarah Kane's Blasted, if you choose to go and read Blasted, I will give you right now a health warning. It is hard going. It is a nightmare to read. And playing that part was one of the most illuminating experiences of my whole life. But playing the soldier in Blasted makes the Joker look like a cupcake. And I never at any point felt that he was ruining my mental health or causing me to be depressed or anxious or anything else, right? You know, and I do have my issues like everybody else, you know, and I'm not going to talk about those. They're not relevant to this discussion. But certainly I can tell you that playing probably the most harrowing part to play that there is, right? It was an enormously revealing experience. I learned a great deal about humanity, the human condition, the sadness of psychosis. It was beautiful, in fact, in a horribly graphic way, right? It was a beautiful experience, even though I was playing someone who was, you know, really, really deeply insane and deeply disturbed, okay? So if you're in a position where you're sort of saying to yourself, and actors do say to me things like, I have a love-hate relationship with acting. I don't think so. I don't want to sort of diminish your opinion of where that's coming from, because, and I don't want to say that you're wrong, because you may well be right, but I would ask you to reconsider that perhaps your love-hate relationship isn't with acting. It's more with some other force, like the fact that it's hard to find paid work doing it, or that, you know, you perhaps sometimes, you know, you'll play a role and think you've done a really great job, and then the next time you'll play a role and think you've done a terrible job, and you're inconsistent, right? Perhaps because you haven't trained and you don't have the technique to create the consistency that you're looking for, right? But it's not actually the act of creating a character and playing a part that's actually making you feel like that. So I would ask you to reconsider that. And if in doing that you do discover, oh yeah, actually I need to train, you know, to create the consistency that I want, or you know, this need for pay, for money and for recompense for this is what's causing this problem, then at least then in the reconsidering of that, you can then hopefully nail down what is actually making you feel unhappy and upset and perhaps depressed. And if it is something that you can put your finger on, it may well be worth talking to somebody professionally, a psychologist or a psychiatrist, and seeing if that can be resolved in some way, or at least if that thing is causing you, a mental illness is causing you to be depressed, to suffer from depression or anxiety, that then there may be ways that a professional then can help you iron that out. But do reconsider if you think it's your art that's doing it, because it may not be. It may be something else that's, you know, in a kind of a orbiting way, sort of attached to it, but not it itself. I hope that makes sense. Please ask me any questions you have on that topic. I know it's a little bit more of a serious one, but it has been broached a couple of times there recently, and I wanted to put it out there. And I'll do you another one on directing today as well. So you'll see 2 Man Cave videos. All right. Okay, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.